Retro Zone.
And welcome everybody to another episode of the Animanicast.
You know, when our time machine split reality into random sequences, I thought it would make the saga too confusing to follow. But if anything, the way the multiple timelines tied together was even more satisfying than a linear chronology.
And the side story with the octopus love interest coming back at the end. What a twist!
I don't think we'll ever top that one, Pinky. The rest of our plan is positively boring by comparison. Nonetheless, we'd best proceed.
And welcome everybody once again to the Animanicast. This, of course, is the podcast that is dedicated to the animated television series Animaniacs, as well as other shows within the Rugerverse, such as Pinky and the Brain, Tiny Toon Adventures, and Freakazoid. But today, we're talking about the Animaniacs Reboot. Yes, we're talking about the 6th episode of the 2nd season of the Animaniacs Reboot, aka episode 19 of the reboot. We're going to be talking about every cultural reference and gag that we can think of, and of course, at the end, we're going to give this episode a Water Tower rating. I am Joey, and joining me once again is my brother Nathan.
You and me both, pal.
And across the country in Georgia, there's Kelly.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I was putting money on that one right there. I was like, that's gonna be the catchphase for this one. You and me both, pal. I mean, he says it like 6 times. It's like it's gotta be,
I think
right?
3, but it should have been more. So
it should have been more. Well, yes, today we're talking about, as I said, the 6th episode of the 2nd season. That includes the segments Yakko's Big Idea, Mouse Congeniality, and Rejected Animaniacs Characters. And if someone were to ask you, about this episode, just to describe it, I don't know, in just a few words, what would you tell them, Nathan?
We get a song.
We do get a song.
Like an educational song.
Yes, sort of, kind of educational.
It's at least semi-educational.
Yes, this is true. And Kelly, what about you?
Pinky's looks good as a blonde.
Yeah. Pinky, I will say the Brain does Pinky's makeup. He's excellent makeup artist. Add that to another one of Brain's talents.
Well, we know he's a great fashionista, with making a Boba Brain outfit.
I mean, if anything, the Brain is missing. He could rule the world with just fashion.
He could be a what do you call it? Influencer.
Oh, totally. See, and he's just not focusing his time and energy to the right place. He's a natural. Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, anyway, we're going to get into all of that stuff. But I think before we do, Nathan, I got to ask you, this episode, of course, we all know it premiered on November 5th.
I didn't know that.
2021. It is true. It's true. But Nathan, we got to ask you for our November 5th. We got to ask you for our November 5th Facts theme song.
November 5th Facts theme song.
That wasn't even a theme song. That was just making fun of the fact I stumbled on November 5th. That was a fanfare. November 5th Facts fanfare, I think is what that was. Well, at any rate, Nathan, what happened on November 5th?
Okay. I have the World Leader Edition. Oh boy.
Ooh. Strap in, folks.
1940, Franklin D. Roosevelt became the first and only president of the United States to be elected to a 3rd term. That's pretty cool. 1995, André Dallaire attempts to assassinate Prime Minister Jean Crichton of Canada, but he is thwarted when the Prime Minister's wife locks the door. And then in 2013, India launches a Mars orbiter mission, its first interplanetary probe. That's not world leader, but there is a space segment in this. So
this is true. They did. Their planets are mentioned.
Yeah, man, that the attempted assassination. Oh man, when I found out about that, it got me laughing because I don't know if you remember this because I did not remember it.
No.
So this is in 1995. He's like hearing voices or something. He's like outside the house, like throwing stones, and like there's a camera out there, and he's like showing the knife to the camera. And for like 20 minutes, he's doing this, and then he breaks a window, and he's wandering around the basement for like another half an hour, and then like he bumps into the wife, and she's like, "Oh," so she locks the door, wakes her husband up. The husband doesn't believe her. She calls like the cops outside. It takes them another like 17 minutes to actually get in there and get the guy. The guy just waits around outside, doesn't try to go through the door. The police would have got there sooner, but one of the first officer to respond had forgotten his key to the residence. So yeah, it was just a bunch of like, I'm like, what's this guy? I don't know. Just it's
a bumbling assassin.
It's all Canadian, so it was a very friendly man who just kind of waited. He waited in the next room over for
gave him some maple syrup and
exactly. So I think he got
some poutine.
Like, they gave him medical attention and all that for his like voices, and I think everything's fine now. So just it was a very strange.
Yeah, that is very strange. Well, there you go, Canada.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, well, let's go ahead and get into our discussion of today's episode. We're going to start off with the variable verse, which was making gainies.
Making gainies.
And Yakko is ripped.
Yeah, he has a ripped leg later in this.
Yeah, he apparently is really just
strong.
Yeah, he's able to condense his muscles, cover them up very well. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. That was making gainies. Something I guess as we're going towards the new year now, some people might be actually making as a New Year's resolution or making gainies. I don't know. For me, I just need to lose some gainy myself.
Lose some gainies.
I need to stop. I need to stop gaining all this weight. So anyway, well, let's go ahead and get to our first discussion here of the first cartoon, which is a song. It's called Yakko's Big Idea. And Yakko's Big Idea was written by Lucas Crandalls and Timothy Nash. It was directed by Eric Knudsen. And Kelly, why don't you tell us what happens here in Yakko's Big Idea?
Okay. It's sort of a parody on Shark Tank, I believe.
Yes.
Hey, a new episode of our new favorite business show on the Business Channel.
Oh, you mean the one where the guy goes and helps people fix their failing small business?
No, that's on the Small Business Channel. This is where they pitch their idea to billionaires, and if it's bad, they get dropped into a flaming pit.
That's capitalism, baby.
Shark Tank's not one of those shows that I watch, unless it's just like on the TV and it comes on after the show that I was watching, and I haven't changed the channel yet. So I have watched a little bit of that. He keeps presenting these inventions to Yakko and Dot. He ends up singing about visiting other planets or stars, I guess, technically.
Yeah, because I guess instead of
they're exoplanets.
Yes,
yeah.
exoplanets. His invention is tourism, I guess, right? To visit other planets outside of our solar system. So
exoplanetary tourism,
yes.
I guess.
Okay, I kind of guessed whether ETs are alive. But this here spot has got the lot for aliens to live and thrive. If there's water here, it's crystal clear and not too hot or cold. And it may contain amazing veins of pure and flawless gold. But its sun is dying and amplifying all the harmful cosmic rays, and the planet's visage is forever barraged with all these brutal gamma waves. If any ETs were alive, none would survive the radiation. So it'd be a stoop to pack a hazmat suit for this hot new destination. Okay, so the radiation's also a deal breaker, is it? Okay, well, it's good to know.
The exoplanets he refers to are Pegasi 51b and Kepler 186f, and which I feel like I've heard of those, but I'm not really into astronomy.
They are real planets, so
He mentions the Kepler Space Telescope. Basically sings a song about these places, and I don't know, since the planets, they all sound cool in theory, but they're not really safe or habitable. He ends up singing about WB1, I think is what it was called.
Yes.
Yakotopia. No, not Yakotopia.
I think, well, it's called Yakotopia or something on the sign, right?
Yeah,
something
they don't really say it, but you see like this flashing sign. And I mean, that place looks amazing. There's magic puppies. Sold.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I need right there. Like full stop. That magic puppies, but also like the ground is made of like candy or something, and I don't know. There's video
like
games
video
in every
games,
crater, and
pizza.
Yeah, okay, but magic puppies.
Oh yeah.
Let's get back to that. Because that's the important thing. And Dot's funny because she's like, magic puppies, yes.
Magic puppies?
Pizza?
Where is?
Sold.
Question.
Shoot.
How do we get there?
Aren't these planets all billions of miles away?
Oh, yeah. Plus, I made that planet up. But you look like the sort of fashionable folks who would appreciate hair pants. The only pants made from the hair of balding men.
So they start hitting the button. They've been threatening to hit the button this whole time. So they hit the button and the floor opens up, but Yakko avoids the trapdoor, and then he starts coming up with like other silly things. Just throwing out random words that he's throwing together. Something about pork chops and
pork yogurt at the end.
Pork yogurt. It just sounds gross.
Meat at the bottom, yeah.
Ugh. And they keep, pushing the button on all these trapdoors, keep opening up, and that's about it.
There we go. So a song. I think it was a pretty nice song. I mean, it was. I enjoyed listening to it. I enjoyed how it was semi-educational, even though like the third part obviously wasn't. It got a little silly. But
magic puppies.
Puppies do exist.
And but what did you guys think about it? And Nathan, anything in this one that stood out for you that you thought was humorous or good?
It got me excited for the James Webb Space Telescope, which is going to be like launching this year. Hopefully.
Oh,
I don't know anything about that.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be the next Hubble. Because I mean, the Kepler, that's out. Kepler's no longer taking photos or anything. All the gas is out or whatever.
Oh,
that was 2018. It stopped. No more. It's done.
So they used gas. Wait a minute. They used gas for taking
all the
pictures?
fuel. It had fuel in it. I don't know. It's out of fuel. It's done. It's gone.
They need a green energy telescope. What are they thinking?
I don't know. But the James Webb, it's going to be huge. It's going to be 1 million miles away from Earth, like the sun, but in the opposite direction. And yeah, it's going to be able to see like the beginning of the universe. Like it's going to be able to, like it can see so far away. Like it can see the first light,
Seriously?
Yeah. It's like, well, I mean, like it's going to be really cool. Get some really good pictures. Yeah.
I have a really hard time.
It's huge.
Like understanding, like space is just so incomprehensible to me.
Yeah, when you start thinking about
the numbers of the the distance and the light years and like what you're looking at doesn't even exist now because it existed thousands of years ago because
millions.
It takes that long. Yeah. For the light to anyway. It gets
so that's going to be able to see like billions of years back in time.
Billions
and billions. Yeah.
Billions and billions.
And yeah, right now it's set to launch on Christmas Eve, although yesterday, so that's as of recording. Yesterday it was said it was going to launch 2 days before that. So who knows? It's supposed to launch,
but it's going to take it's going to take a while to get.
It's going to take 6 months.
Okay, so we won't see any pictures till like the summer
until end of next year, really.
Oh, really?
And then it needs 6 months is like a drop in the bucket, though, when you're talking about space.
Oh yeah.
Well, I did hear that they're coming out with like new sleeping bags for the astronauts so that their eyeballs don't get squished anymore.
That's cool.
What?
Gross.
Yeah, well, like their eyes dry out, so it flattens the I don't know, the cornea, retina, whatever it is. I'm not an ophthalmologist.
Pancake eyes.
But it changes the shape. Yeah, the shape of
Interesting.
the eyes. I had no idea, but I was hearing something about it on the radio this morning.
Well, there you go. Space. Well, this
super
is
exciting.
Yeah. So, well, well, when it comes to this cartoon, I mean, there was I guess that's pretty much it. I mean, there was some cool stuff like Yakko was flying around in that spaceship that you could see in Yakko's universe.
Magic puppies.
That was pretty good, and magic puppies were in it. And let's see, anything else? I liked their little bit about improv.
Come on, I could pitch a better idea than that off the top of my head. And improv is the weakest of my comedic disciplines.
Improv is the weakest of all comedic disciplines, so this should be terrible.
Which I thought, like, oh, come on. Like, improv, when done correctly, is really good comedy, in my opinion.
I didn't like when he referred to ETs a couple of times, but none of them looked like ET.
Oh, yeah. Might as
That's
well.
True.
But do you want to worry about ET, like, with having to wear a radiation suit? I mean, that wouldn't be fun.
No, but
that's a reference to Spielberg. So
when you say ET, you need to show ET.
Okay, good point. Good point. Or at least Alf,
or Katy Perry singing about ET.
That's true.
Pegasus 51b, I think, is about 50 light years away. So it's the closest one.
Oh, okay.
And Kepler 186f was the first planet that we found that was in the habitable zone, or at least it's in the same distance away from Earth, or from the sun as Earth is to our sun. So that's why they're like, ooh, this could be a good planet.
But then it's also radiation is all of it.
There's like, and we don't know if there's water or anything on it. But I'm thinking with the James Webb, I don't know enough to know for sure, but I think it can look better at these planets even too. So
Nathan, I had no idea you were so into space.
I'm not that into space, but it's just kind of cool.
You are
these
so excited about this telescope.
This James Webb thing. I don't know. No one's talking about it.
Well, we got to do the James Webb cast, or spin-off podcast.
I'll let y'all do that.
Okay.
I mean, it's cool. I want to hear about it, but I don't want to spend an hour talking about it.
Well, let's spend our time more accurately on Animaniacs, I suppose. Let's go ahead and go to our next segment here, which is Mouse Congeniality. And Mouse Congeniality was also written by Lucas Crandall and Timothy Nash, and it was also directed by Eric Knudsen. And let's see, Nathan, what happens here in Mouse Congeniality?
All right. Well, there's a big zap inside the Acme Labs, and Pinky and the Brain appear in their cage. They just got back from this huge adventure where Pinky had to cut the red wires to save a bomb from exploding, and there's all these different branches of times that all merge together to create one cohesive story. It's the most exciting thing that's ever happened to Pinky and the Brain.
Pinky and the Brain cinematic universe. It was like crazy, all this stuff going on.
Oh my gosh, all of them. And it was just a very satisfying story. Nothing ever will top that. And it was all to get the plans to the Chump Tower, which is where all the world leaders go after the former president, I guess Donald Trump, owns Chump. I don't know.
That sidebar on that one. So is President Trump President Chump in this?
In the universe?
And I know that kind of bugged me a little bit. I'm like, wait a minute. So you can call him. You don't need to parody the president, right? Right. I don't know. They're going for
this was written obviously when Trump was still president,
and then they
wrote it. So then they had to add former president. I don't know why they would be going to the former president's place, anyways. But like, whatever, it's fine.
Exactly. They just love him so much.
Yeah. Anyways, Brain's gonna break in, and he has this special gas that can mind control up to 1,000 people for up to 5 minutes.
Even so, it should be enough to render approximately 1,000 humans entirely suggestible to my command for 5 minutes. Just long enough to convince every world leader to sign over their nations to me, the Brain.
Wait! Your name's The Brain? Oh, I've been calling you just plain old Brain for all these years. I'm so sorry, Brain. I mean, I'm so sorry, The Brain. Wait, am I The Pinky?
But he only has one spray of it, though, so he can only use it once. So if he sneaks into this room, he could get them all to sign over their countries, and then he would be leader of the world. But he finds out after looking at the plans, there's absolutely no way into the building. They've thought of everything. So we'll do it tomorrow night, but we can't because there's the Everything pageant, Miss Everything pageant, which Pinky wants to watch.
You watch that archaic, retrograde, sexist drivel? Oh, Pinky, I thought you were woke.
And it's the only pageant that's held in Chump Tower. And cut to tomorrow, Brain has brought Pinky over to the Chump Tower because there's the beauty pageants there. So he's going to think of some way. He figures I can get in if I can get into the beauty pageant. But he can't get past the door because, hey, he doesn't have a contestant. But then walk in Pinky. Here's my contestant. Ha-ha!
She's right here.
I don't hear a thing.
I'd say she has the requisite intellect for a competition such as this, yes?
You and me both, pal. All right, get inside, you two.
So he decides to dress Pinky up as a girl. Anyway. And oh man, hilarities. No, he actually is doing fine. He has the best answer of all the women about where he sees himself in 10 years.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Oh, funny story. I was actually just there, and I was married to an octopus.
You and me both, pal.
He needs to do really well in this contest because Brains needs to figure out a way to get to the top of Chump Tower. So, and the longer Pinky is in it, the longer they can be in that room. So, finally, they've gotten to the finals, and Brain has come up with how to do it. Pinky just needs to do a distraction. And that's when Brain will climb up the walls using contact lenses and swing on the chandeliers and go through the sprinkler system. But Pinky doesn't want to do it.
Throw the talent show? I won't do it, Brain. No, I refuse to compromise my integrity. Now, if you'll excuse me, the Crazy Frog song isn't going to play itself on the wine glasses.
Lucky for Brain, he just accidentally kind of makes a huge distraction. Brain falls into the room of all the leaders through the sprinkler system, and when he goes to spray him, though, he finds out he brought the wrong one. He brought the perfume.
I command thee to forfeit your nations to I, the Brain! Or is it just I, Brain? The Pinky really got inside my head. What the... Lilac? Rosewater? A hint of sandalwood? This is Pinky's perfume!
And back in the room, we see Pinky is spraying, sprucing, and spritzing with the actual mind controlling device, saying like, "Please let me be Miss Everything." And that's when he is awarded Miss Everything of Nanonesia, which is the country they said they were from.
Yeah.
And Brain walks in, and they have to leave. And that's when Maduro, president of Venezuela, runs into him. See, he was made fun of in the world leaders.
Yeah.
And
the Brain made fun of him, like bread lines, basically, being in his country
because they're too long.
But they all came back because then Maduro sees him again, and it says he somehow brought two giant
big tanks
into the Miss
into
Everything.
The building.
You know,
that's how Brain should have snuck up there with tanks.
I mean, that would have worked. Security's not so great in this Chump Tower right here.
I don't know. Apparently, though, if you tried to do like a dinosaur on a balloon, they'd shoot you down.
They'd shoot you down. And there was
And sharks.
the Jaws
that's
reference right there.
That's true. I didn't get that. Yeah, I didn't write that.
Well, I felt like it was like Jaws and Jurassic Park. Because dinosaur and shark. But I see Spielberg and everything.
Yeah, well, I definitely saw the Jaws, and I could definitely. I think I was going with Jurassic Park as well, with since it was right after that.
Balloons and I mean, it's like a park. You would get
speaking of balloons, we haven't talked about it at all. Kelly, what'd you think about the Baby Yoda balloon in the Macy's parade?
Oh, it was cute. Yeah,
it was so cute. Yeah,
I mean, I saw pictures of it way before the parade.
Oh.
Yeah, they didn't make it a secret.
I didn't see it really before the parade.
Yeah, they even had a Funko that they were selling of it.
Yeah, it was just a giant inflatable Funko, basically, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was cute.
Yeah. Well, at any rate, we could have taken that to Chump Tower. That would have done it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Too cute to shoot down.
Okay, well, let's go and talk about some of the references in this first one. And there's quite a few. I mean, obviously, the whole thing is, the title itself is a parody on Miss Congeniality, which I remember seeing it in theaters. And I think I saw the second one possibly in theaters as well. I don't really remember definitely much about the second one, other than I didn't really like the second one. The first one I remember enjoying, though, for that one time I saw it. And there was a Tim Gunn kind of, I almost said look-alike, but he did. I mean,
he did the voice. So
was that really Tim Gunn?
Yeah.
Wow.
It didn't look like him very much.
It did not look at all like him.
I knew it sounded like him.
It was voiced by Tim Gunn, so that was pretty cool to have him as a cameo.
I mean, he must have been pretty upset with how they drew him. Boy, that was. He's like, "Oh, I'm so happy to be working on this cartoon show," and then he sees it. And he's like, "Oh dear God!"
Yeah,
I love Tim Gunn though, because I used to watch Project Runway.
I used to watch it too. Tim Gunn looks exactly the same. I mean, he has the best. Him and Heidi Klum are just. I mean, they've somehow using cryogenic makeup or something, or plastic surgery to just keep themselves looking the same for the past 20 years because they look great. Well, at any rate,
I mean, he wasn't technically playing Tim Gunn. He was just playing pageant host, so that's why he may look ugly. There you go.
But I mean, why not? Yeah,
I know. Why not draw him like?
Well, I also thought it was kind of, just as a side note, I thought it was funny that the guy, what's his name, Maduro, kept accidentally walking into getting in the wrong lines and going into the dressing rooms and stuff. He kept getting confused about where to go. Should he go to the Miss Everything, or should he get to the World Leader Conference? He doesn't.
He's not good with lines. That's what you can say about
exactly. Keeps going in the wrong place. Well, there's a lot of references in here. One of is the lipstick itself that Brain uses to, I guess, fill with oxygen so he can go through the thing. It's called Battle Lip Potemkin, which is a reference to the Battleship Potemkin, which is an old black and white movie. I think it might have even been. It's a silent film, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
1945, I think.
Oh gosh, 45 wouldn't have been silent.
I think it's still.
It's an old film, though. I know that. I know that.
Oh, 1925. That's what
there we go. Okay, that's silent. Okay, good. They also had a cool reference to the Speed 2 cruise control right there. Right?
I like that one.
That was a funny one right there.
Now, I don't know much about beauty pageants, but I did absorb some lessons in paint by numbers glitz and glam from that Sandra Bullock movie I half watched on the plane, Speed 2 Cruise Control.
Which I've never seen more than 2 minutes of that movie.
I liked, it just reminds me of Simpsons when the bus is going really fast. Like, oh, this is like Speed 2, but with a bus instead of a boat.
What was the also in The Simpsons where it goes, the bus that wouldn't slow down?
Yep.
I saw this in a movie about a bus that had to speed around the city, keeping its speed over 50. And if its speed dropped, it would explode. I think it was called The Bus That Couldn't Slow Down.
That
was Steve Skinner, right? Yeah,
yes. Yeah. It was called The Bus That Couldn't Slow Down. Anyway, there was also a double music reference with Pinky talking about how he was making an album of the Narf side of the moon, and it's called Narf side of the moon point sounds, and so that's Dark Side of the Moon, which is Pink Floyd, but it's point sounds, which is a parody of the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds. So there, it's a double record thing. And I think somewhere, wasn't in this segment that they had also a thing about like the evil, they had a whole thing about us as well. Yeah.
Yep, the evil tether.
That entire ordeal was for nothing.
Not nothing, Brain. I got to meet my evil tether. He was so nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Us was a very unsettling movie.
It really was. I just, I don't want to spoil anything, but I don't think it's necessarily a scary film, other than it really is kind of creepy-ish, a creepy film, definitely creepy.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, this cartoon wasn't creepy, even though it could have gotten creepy. But I think Brain did, like we said before, Brain did a very good job with Pinky's makeup and everything like that. And even the Brain realized, or should he just be called the Brain? You know, that was a.
Is it the Brain, or is it
the Brain or the Pinky?
I like that. That was fun. Yeah.
Anyway, well, let's talk about any other moments. I mean, there's a lot of world leaders. We won't mention all those because there's a lot of them, and that's not that interesting. But what are some moments that you guys thought were so interesting or funny? Kelly, let's start with you.
I thought Brain's whole plan to get to the top of the tower was hilarious. You know, from using the contact lenses and I think he called them extensions, or you know, but then Pinky talked about Weavegate.
Yeah, Weavegate of 1997. Yes,
that was interesting. And then to use the lipstick cases, you know, the oxygen. It was all very Mission Impossible kind of stuff.
There was even like Mission Impossible 3 or 4. One of them is literally him going through a big water tube thing and trying to hold his breath for a really long time. I can't remember which Mission Impossible was, but they're all the same, you know. Like, but there's one where he has to be underwater for a very long time.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I thought the whole action sequence with the Brain doing the whole flip and going into the water was cool. I mean, it did have a little bit of tension right there with, will you be able to open up the water and stuff? That I did enjoy that.
I don't know if you heard him describing what he was doing. It's kind of weird. He's like saying that he's going to climb up the exterior of the building. And I was like, what are you talking? Like, I don't know if his plan changed in the fly and then he starts climbing on the interior of the building, or if they had a different plan at
yeah,
I don't know. It was weird. And he's like, swing from chandelier to chandelier. It's like, you're just swinging to one chandelier.
Interesting.
So I don't
maybe
know.
They had a rewrite.
Yeah, maybe there's some rewrite or something, or
they forgot to rewrite that one plan line.
In making it this far, you've bought me enough time to formulate a plan for reaching the leaders' summit on the top floor. I believe I'll be able to ascend the glass exterior of Chump Tower with these suction cups I've fashioned out of Miss Spain's contact lenses.
Yeah, because you're right. There was one chandelier, and then he just popped open.
Going in the interior, not the exterior of the building.
Which exterior of the building would have also been a very Mission Impossible thing as well, because he did that in one of the movies I know. So, yeah. Weird.
So maybe... Okay. I wonder if there was chandeliers in one of them.
Well, you definitely got the sense that this was this episode could have gone one of two ways. Like if Trump was still president, it would have been the leaders meeting with Trump in the Trump Tower or Trump Tower or whatever. And now it's just the world leaders gathering at this building, and Trump isn't even seen, which is kind of weird to me. That
they did have Boris Johnson, which was the closest character. I was like, that could be Trump, I get it, but it looks more like Boris Johnson.
It was Boris. Yeah, that was Boris Johnson. But that was kind of an odd thing. Like, number one, it's like, why would world leaders still be collecting themselves? I'm sure Trump would love it in real life if the world leaders would still respect him and head to just his private house, even when he's not president anymore. So the whole premise doesn't quite work, I don't think, with Trump out of office. But, whatever. It's just a nitpicky thing. It's not a big deal. It just didn't quite make sense.
I mean, maybe he'll be back.
Nathan.
Vladimir Putin is back. I liked hearing the same voice. Was it Anthony Kerrigan?
Yes. And now that I remember what Barry is, he's very funny in that show, I should say.
He mentioned all the Chris's from the Marvel movies, or I guess Chris Pines from DC. I can't remember.
Yeah, he said marry and kill, but he didn't mention the.
He mentioned that Chris Hemsworth was the answer to the other.
So
he's like
process of
Chris
elimination.
Yeah, so you can kind of. So if you know that game, you know what.
Definitely Chris Hemsworth. So I guess I'd have to marry Chris Pratt and kill Chris Pine.
And that was the first. He's like, definitely Chris Hemsworth.
I will say that this episode, unlike some other ones, I noticed, at least when this was recorded, is TV PG and not TV 14 like some other ones. So yeah, so this one didn't have as much, anything to really offend anybody, I suppose. Well,
I'm sure something offended somebody, but I don't think it offended me this time around.
Yeah. The brain and Pinky looked a little, I want to say a little bit weird, a little bit off, at least in the first half of this cartoon. It's long
they just got
cartoon.
Back from a whole time travel thing.
Yeah. This cartoon is long. It's like 13 minutes long, I think, at least. But the first half of it, their mouths, I can't really describe it other than their mouths are a little bit more open wide, a little bit more than usual. And gosh darn it, those fangs, I just do not like those. I've never liked them, especially on Pinky and the Brain. It doesn't make any sense to me why they have like kind of sharpish teeth in the back, canines or whatever. But their whole animation at the beginning of the episode was just, it felt a little bit off, and then it got a lot more fluid in the second half. So I don't know if it was two different animation studios doing it, or perhaps they tacked on like a new opening to it, perhaps before to talk about former president.
Well, that line had to be definitely changed.
Oh, definitely.
I did think it was weird that we had two Pinky and the Brain episodes in a row, last we's, and this one was very similar. Three characters for this with the Duro Kim and Putin.
That is odd. Well, well, at any rate, any other moments in this mouse congeniality that you'd like to mention is funny, interesting, etc.? I'll give you one more. I like that stupid guy who talks about being cursed by the witch in traffic.
Yeah,
mainly because I like hearing Tress MacNeille do that witch laugh.
Do you always start your sentences with that phrase?
You and me both, pal? Yeah, cut off an actual witch in traffic and she put a curse on me.
You and me both, pal.
In my mind, when I watched it like the third or fourth time, I was like, oh, I add an extra one at the very first time he says. I feel like they must have cut one out because he doesn't say it the very first thing he says to Brain. It should be, but it's not. And I was like, so that's why I said there should be more. But
there should be a tower thing at the very end where he pops out of the tower and says, "You and me both, pal." That would have been even funnier, but they didn't.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh well, they missed their chance. Well, let's go ahead and get to our last segment right here. And this is called Rejected Animaniacs Characters. And Rejected Animaniacs Characters was written by Wellesley Wild, Ted Mulcurin, and Jordan Vendina. It was directed by Eric Knudsen. And, well, in this one, the Warners are struggling to say positive things about different Animaniacs characters that have been rejected from their new show. We have a segment called Mime and Meme, where it's a mime with I guess it's kind of almost like a screen or something. It's just a meme with arms and legs, and it says different things depending on what's happening around it. They have a social butterfly segment, which was there. They had Aqua Claws, And Aqua Claus was pretty much one of the, I think, the coolest segment of the ones they had, which was parodying old cartoon Clutch Cargo from like the 1960s, where there was very little animation. It was just basically a picture, and then somebody would superimpose their mouth on top of it. And then they, refer to other, additional cartoons or characters that have also been rejected, such as the Juan Percent, the Salsa Tycoon, and Pinocchio, the press secretary. And that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, it's overall, I think the thing I got from this was that Yakko described the reboot so far to me.
It is a Mobius strip of mediocrity.
But only sort of. But anyway, that's I thought it was interesting. There's not really any real references. I mean, obviously there were some political references at the end. Some people are saying that the social butterfly character is actually a reference to this character Buzz on Maggie, which is a cartoon I have not seen before, but I did see online like comparisons to that character.
They look the same. It was only on air for a year or something. But
yeah. I guess somebody who works on the show, I forget who it is, might have been Katie Rice, I forget, but I believe it was Katie Rice, worked on that Buzz show, and so maybe that was an influence for that. Some people are saying that the living room or something in Mime and Meme looks like the Family Guy living room,
it
which
does look a lot like it.
It does.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, yeah, probably with less Wellesley.
Yeah. I guess. I mean, yeah. But yeah. I mean, not much. Again, there's kind of like, I guess it was kind of a Disney. I forgot to mention the Office. The Office one. What is that one called?
Oh yeah, Office Supplies.
That one's not in our notes. Office Supplies. Yeah,
because there's nothing to say about that one.
Yeah,
otherwise, it kind of Brave Little Toaster, maybe.
I thought the animation was cute.
Yeah, I thought it was like Toy Story, Brave Little Toaster, kind of a Disney Pixar kind of thing going on with that one.
I like the stapler.
Yeah, that poor stapler. They all died except the binder. The binder just kept rocking. Stapler and Whiteout just
ran out of staples and ink.
Yeah, and they just died. That's kind of sad. Well, at any rate, I guess that's pretty much it. What were some things that made you smile, made you laugh, or you just thought were interesting, or maybe not so interesting? I guess, Nathan, let's start with you.
I found out what Synchrovox is.
Yes. Synchrovox animation.
Yeah, like the Angry Orange or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That felt like Freakazoid. Like that actually, I was like, I could actually see, I would like to watch this. Even if it's just a stupid little like a Toby Danger kind of thing on Freakazoid. Like I could want, I would like to see this cartoon. To be fun.
Yeah, it was probably the best. I mean, just the animation too was so like different. It was kind of made it fun.
Ho, ho, hope you can swim.
It reminded me of Aquaman, I guess, right?
Aqua Claus, yeah.
Yeah, it was fine. I have nothing to.
All right, Kelly, what about you?
I liked when they first started talking about the mime and the meme. When they were outside, it looked like the same background, kind of like the Wheel of Morality a little bit.
Oh yeah, I really wish they did
the mime
though, for it. Like when they said Mime and Meme, I'm like, oh, they're gonna put the mime in? Oh no, it's just this other mime. Like darn. And I did. I mean, it was just kind of, the memes were so flashed so quickly too that
some of them I had to pause it to be like, what is it?
Yeah, and then when I finally looked at them and they didn't really quite make sense, and that was the joke. But then I felt like, oh man, why am I wasting my time looking at these memes?
Yeah,
but it was a lot of it. At least those first two segments really kind of felt like a more of a slam on like millennial kind of or young people just in general. Get off your phone, stop looking at memes and stuff like that. Obviously, I think the writers don't really think memes are funny to begin with, which is probably why they picked memes that aren't funny, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was a little disappointed that that it wasn't the mime. And I was actually, when they first said at the very beginning,
Hi there. A lot of you have written in to ask why Animaniacs doesn't have more new characters.
and I thought to myself, that's not what people are saying. People are saying, why don't you have more of the old characters on the show?
I mean, I hear both though, really, because it's always the Warners and Pinky and the Brain. It's always,
Yes.
and then maybe throw in an extra thing, but it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, there were more characters on Animaniacs. It's kind of like, and so I'm glad they showed this is a way to do a bunch of like little things, but I don't know. I want more. I think give me more new characters if I can't have the old ones.
There was also kind of a, I guess you could call it good-natured jab at their own characters.
Well, that just goes to show how difficult it is to meet the high standards we set on Animaniacs.
Characters that make it into the show must be dynamic, relatable, and also complex.
Like me, I'm always hungry.
And Yak?
And I'm a girl.
And I was like, yeah, I don't really. I mean, I don't know. It was. I don't think it was necessary to slam those characters by kind of minimizing who they are or what they are, because we all know that might be like the first thing, but I don't know. It wasn't a big deal. I just kind of thought,
I thought it was interesting that Mime and Meme was written by the same number of people that wrote Yakko's big song. I'm like, it took 4 people to write that song and 4 people to write Yakko's big song. So I don't know. Wellesley got credit for like, I wonder if sometimes like, well, we only have 3.
This one had
a 4th person on this one.
This one had rewrites into, I think. Well, I think when I see segments like this, and we've had a few, we've had this one, and then we had the voting one in the first season. We just had one where it was the different TV shows where they're flipping channels and stuff. This is where the showrunners of this show, I think, this is what they wanted to do. They wanted to do a sketch cartoon show, and they don't necessarily want to do it with the characters that we know from the original series. They just want to do a sketch show from time to time, and
a variety show.
Tie the Warners into it somehow, but really just kind of have ideas, and which is fine. But I just wish that the little sketches that they did were, I don't know, a little funnier than the ones that they're picking. Because like we mentioned in the previous episode, Rick and Morty, I think, can do it really well when they're flipping channels and showing different universes, showing different TV shows. Those are really funny. Yeah. And so far, the stuff I've seen on Animaniacs when they're doing these brief concepts, maybe I like a third of them. But the other ones are just, to me, just simply not funny. But that's my opinion. Whatever. Take with it what you will. Well, I think let's go ahead and get to our water tower rating. What do you think out of 5 possible water towers? How many would you give this episode of the Animaniacs Reboot? Kelly, let's start with you.
I think I will go with 3.
Okay.
It had a song that was pretty good, and the Pinky and the Brain segment had some cute moments, and I didn't really laugh at any of it, but I thought the plan was pretty interesting and clever, and overall it was a decent episode.
All right, Nathan, what about you?
I'm gonna give it 2.5. Basically the same reasons. I don't know. Mostly, I just didn't think it was that funny. But I did. I liked that there was a song, and that was cool. But yeah, I don't know. It was maybe I just saw it too many times. I'm just like,
yeah, I agree with you. I actually liked this episode a lot more the first time I watched it, but then the second and third time I watched it, I actually the third time was more of a 2.5-ish watch for me because I was like, I get it. But I did enjoy it a little bit more the first time. In fact, I was thinking, oh, this is is this a 4 water tower episode? And yeah, I went down to 3 just because it's not as funny as I thought could or should be. I did like that song, however, that was nice. Although, Yakko, I don't think starts off Dot stops him and says, "Don't start off." Yeah, don't start. She goes, "Don't start off songs by saying you see all the time." And I thought to myself, I don't think he does that in the classic show at all. He just does that on the reboot. So maybe you guys need to watch yourself when it comes to starting off songs that way. You don't have to, whatever. Anyway, 3 for me. So I guess that's an average. What is that? An average of 2 point something or other?
2.83.
2.83. Nathan, math major. Well, let's go ahead and get to some contact information. Kelly, where can people find you online?
I'm on Twitter, Yoda Princess, YODA, or email me, Kelly at BigShinyRobot.com.
All right. And Nathan, what about you?
Oh, I'm on Twitter as well. Django FT, that's me.
All right. Well, as for the Animanicast, we're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. You can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/Animanicast. And of course, we have our Patreon as well, patreon.com/Animanicast. And there you can go ahead and get additional bonus audio, not only of us talking about movies and stuff, but also Creators Commentary Series with Tom Ruger, with special guests as well, such as Paul Rugg and John P. McCann, and even Lenord Robinson, who recently came on and gave a commentary on one of the Christmas episodes, which was super fun. So check that out for bonus Animaniacs content from the Animanicast, and you'll be supporting our show as well. You can also check out our RetroZap.com archives at Animanicast.com. We're a proud member of the RetroZap Podcast Network, and you can join our Discord channel with RetroZap by going to our welcome link, discord.animanicast.com. That'll take you over there. You can talk about Animaniacs or Star Wars or anything pop culture you want. And check it out today. There's great conversations going on there all the time. Well, that'll do it for today's episode. So, for Nathan and Kelly, this is Joey saying, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, Tiny Toon Adventures, Freakazoid, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animanicast unless otherwise indicated.
You and me both, pal.